Hello, future medical professionals. Welcome to an exciting session on Class 11 Biology. Today, we are diving into a fascinating topic, osmoregulation, a vital process that keeps your body's internal environment stable. We'll explore how your body manages its water and salt balance, from the basics to advanced competitive insights. Get ready for a 4-level learning journey, easy, medium, hard, and hardest to master this crucial concept for any ET. Let's begin. Let's kick things off with the basics of osmoregulation. What is it, and why is it so incredibly important for every living cell in your body? Get ready to understand this fundamental life process simply. Osmoregulation is simply the process by which an organism maintains the constant water and solute concentrations within its body fluids. Think of it as your body's internal balancing act, ensuring everything stays just right. The main goal is to achieve homeostasis, a stable internal environment, which is absolutely crucial for every cell to function correctly. If there's too much water, cells can swell and burst. If there's too little, they shrink and shrivel. Imagine a plant wilting without enough water. That's a simple example of imbalance. Osmoregulation ensures your inner ocean has the perfect salinity and volume. So, how does your amazing body actually perform this balancing act? The kidneys are the star players here, constantly filtering your blood and adjusting water and salt levels. When your body needs more water, your brain sends signals making you feel thirsty. When you're hot, you sweat, losing both water and salts, which your body then needs to replenish. And critically, your kidneys adjust how much urine they produce. If you drink a lot, they make more dilute urine to expel excess water. If you're dehydrated, they conserve water, making less, more concentrated urine. For instance, after a salty meal, you feel thirsty because your body needs water to dilute the extra salt, showing osmoregulation in action. Time to test your understanding of the easy concepts. Here are 3 quick questions. Think about what we just discussed regarding the definition of osmoregulation, its importance, and the main organs involved. Try to answer them before moving on to the next level. Good luck! Now that we've grasped the basics, let's dive a bit deeper into osmoregulation. We'll explore the underlying principles of water movement, different strategies organisms use, and the crucial role of hormones. This level will build a stronger foundation for your NEET preparation. At the heart of osmoregulation is the concept of osmosis and osmolarity. Osmosis is the passive movement of water molecules across a semi-permeable membrane, from an area of higher water concentration to an area of lower water concentration. This movement aims to equalize solute concentrations. Osmolarity is the measure of the solute concentration in a solution, essentially, how thick or thin a solution is. Our body fluids, like blood plasma, have an optimal osmolarity that must be maintained for cells to function correctly. Any deviation triggers osmoregulatory responses. Organisms employ different strategies for osmoregulation based on their environment. We classify them into 2 main types: osmoconformers and osmoregulators. Osmoconformers, like many marine invertebrates, maintain an internal osmolarity that is isotonic with their external environment. They don't actively regulate, their body fluids simply match the surrounding water. On the other hand, osmoregulators, which include most vertebrates, actively regulate and maintain their internal osmolarity independent of the external environment. This allows them to thrive in various habitats, from freshwater to land. Think of how freshwater fish constantly excrete dilute urine to cope with water influx, while marine fish drink seawater and excrete concentrated urine to counter water loss. The kidneys, with their millions of tiny filtering units called nephrons, are central to human osmoregulation. They meticulously filter blood, reabsorbing essential substances like water, salts, and glucose, while excreting waste products and excess water as urine. A key player in this process is the antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, also known as vasopressin. Released by the posterior pituitary gland, ADH acts on the kidneys to increase water reabsorption, especially in the collecting ducts. This makes the urine more concentrated, conserving water when the body is dehydrated or blood osmolarity is high. Conversely, if there's too much water, ADH release is inhibited, leading to more dilute urine. Alright, it's time for some medium-level practice questions. These questions will challenge your understanding of osmosis, different osmoregulatory strategies, and the basic hormonal control we just discussed. Take your time, recall the key concepts, and choose the best answers. This is a great way to solidify your knowledge before we move on to more complex mechanisms. Good luck! Excellent work on the medium level. Now, let's step up our game. In the hard section, we'll dissect the intricate mechanisms within the human kidney, focusing on the countercurrent system, the precise action of hormones like ADH and aldosterone, and specific adaptations in diverse animals. This knowledge is crucial for a deeper understanding and for excelling in any ET. The human kidney is an engineering marvel, primarily through its functional unit, the nephron. Each nephron performs three main processes: glomerular filtration, where blood is filtered to form a filtrate; selective reabsorption, where essential water, nutrients, and salts are reclaimed; and tubular secretion, where wastes are actively added to the filtrate. The brilliance lies in the countercurrent mechanism, involving the loop of Henle and the vasa recta. This system creates and maintains a strong osmotic gradient in the renal medulla. The descending limb of the loop is permeable to water, allowing water to exit, while the ascending limb is impermeable to water but actively pumps out salts, further concentrating the medulla. This gradient is vital for producing concentrated urine. Let's elaborate on the countercurrent mechanism. The descending limb of the loop of Henle is highly permeable to water but impermeable to salts, so water moves out into the hypertonic medulla. As the filtrate moves up the ascending limb, this segment is impermeable to water but actively transports sodium and chloride ions out into the interstitial fluid. This active transport of salts is what primarily creates the hyperosmotic environment in the renal medulla. The vasa recta, a capillary network running parallel to the loop of Henle, plays a crucial role in maintaining this medullary osmotic gradient. It exchanges water and solutes with the interstitial fluid without dissipating the gradient, ensuring the kidney's ability to concentrate urine. This intricate interplay is key to water conservation. The collecting duct, which receives filtrate from multiple nephrons, plays the final critical role in determining urine concentration. As it passes through the highly osmotic medulla, its permeability to water is regulated by ADH. In the presence of ADH, aquaporin channels are inserted into the collecting duct membrane, making it permeable to water, allowing water to move out into the hypertonic medulla and producing concentrated urine. ADH also increases urea reabsorption in the inner medullary collecting ducts, further contributing to the medullary osmotic gradient. Beyond ADH, aldosterone, a hormone from the adrenal cortex, is vital for electrolyte balance, increasing sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. And atrial natriuretic factor, or ANF, acts as a counter-regulator, promoting sodium and water excretion when blood volume is high. These hormones ensure precise control over fluid and electrolyte levels. You've tackled some complex concepts. Now, it's time to apply your knowledge with these hard-level practice questions. These questions will test your understanding of the countercurrent mechanism, the specific roles of different nephron segments, and the interplay of hormones like ADH, aldosterone, and ANF. Think critically and analyze the scenarios. Mastering these questions will significantly boost your confidence for any ET. Good luck! Congratulations on making it to the hardest level. Here, we'll delve into the most advanced aspects of osmoregulation, from molecular mechanisms and evolutionary insights to clinical disorders and bioengineering applications. This is where you connect the dots, gain a competitive edge, and truly master the subject for NEET and beyond. Let's explore the cellular and molecular machinery underpinning osmoregulation. At the heart of water movement are aquaporins, specialized integral membrane proteins that form channels allowing rapid water passage across cell membranes. For example, aquaporin 2 in the collecting duct is precisely regulated. ADH triggers its insertion into the apical membrane, dramatically increasing water reabsorption. Ion gradients, crucial for water movement, are established by pumps like the Na plus K plus ATPase, which actively transports sodium out of the cell and potassium in. Furthermore, various cotransporters and countertransporters, such as the Na plus K plus to Cl cotransporter in the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, are vital for moving specific ions against their concentration gradients, directly contributing to the osmotic gradient in the kidney. Understanding these molecular players is key to comprehending the precision of osmoregulation. Osmoregulation isn't just a human phenomenon, it's a testament to evolutionary adaptation across diverse life forms. Organisms are classified as stenohaline, tolerating only narrow salinity ranges, or euryhaline, capable of surviving wide fluctuations. Consider elasmobranchs like sharks and rays, which maintain their internal osmolarity slightly higher than seawater by retaining high concentrations of urea and trimethylamine N-oxide, or TMO. This strategy minimizes water loss while preventing protein denaturation from urea. Another fascinating example are anadromous fish like salmon, which migrate from freshwater to saltwater and back. Their osmoregulatory systems undergo dramatic physiological shifts, transitioning from excreting dilute urine and absorbing salts in freshwater to drinking seawater and actively secreting salts through gills in the ocean. These adaptations highlight the incredible plasticity and efficiency of biological systems in facing environmental challenges. Disruptions in osmoregulation can lead to severe health issues. Take diabetes insipidus, for instance. This condition, characterized by excessive dilute urine and intense thirst, results either from a deficiency in ADH production known as central diabetes insipidus or from the kidney's inability to respond to ADH, which is nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Conversely, the syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion, or SIDH, involves excessive ADH release, leading to water retention, dangerously low blood sodium levels, a condition called hyponatremia, and highly concentrated urine. Chronic kidney disease or renal failure severely impairs the kidney's ability to regulate fluid and electrolyte balance, often requiring medical interventions like dialysis. These disorders underscore the delicate balance required for proper physiological function. Furthermore, organisms in extreme environments like xerocols or desert animals exhibit remarkable adaptations, such as highly efficient metabolic water production and specialized kidney structures, while halophiles, salt-loving microorganisms, accumulate compatible solutes to counteract high external salinity, showcasing the diverse biological strategies to maintain internal stability. The principles of osmoregulation extend far beyond biology textbooks, influencing medical treatments and technological innovations. For patients with end-stage renal failure, dialysis machines act as artificial kidneys, meticulously filtering blood and regulating fluid and electrolyte balance, essentially performing the osmoregulatory functions the diseased kidneys can no longer manage. In the realm of environmental technology, processes like reverse osmosis, a key method for water desalination, directly mimic the selective permeability of biological membranes. This technology is vital for converting saline water into potable fresh water, addressing global water scarcity. Furthermore, ongoing research into aquaporins and ion channels holds promise for developing new drugs to treat osmoregulatory disorders, offering targeted therapies. The profound understanding of osmoregulation, therefore, not only deepens our appreciation for biological complexity but also drives practical solutions for human health and environmental sustainability, truly showcasing its legacy and impact. You've absorbed a tremendous amount of information at the hardest level. Now, let's put your comprehensive understanding to the test with the first 5 questions. These will challenge you on molecular mechanisms, evolutionary strategies, and the nuances of osmoregulatory disorders. Analyze each question carefully and apply your in-depth knowledge. This is where your NEET preparation truly shines. Take your time, think critically, and select the best answers. Good luck! Alright, let's continue the challenge with the remaining 5 questions from the hardest level. These questions will push your analytical skills further, covering comparative physiology, bioengineering applications, and the intricate interplay of all the concepts we've explored. Remember, precision and a holistic understanding are key here. This final set of questions is designed to ensure you're fully prepared for any complex scenario related to osmoregulation. Keep up the great work and strive for mastery. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into osmoregulation. I hope you now have a comprehensive understanding of how your body and other organisms maintain this vital balance. From easy definitions to complex molecular mechanisms and clinical applications, you've covered it all. For more such engaging and in-depth educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for continuous learning and to stay ahead in your NEET preparations. Keep studying hard and see you in the next session.